Alright everybody, Sam here again, back for the second episode of the series, which is pretty cool. That I've been keeping up. The editing and everything hasn't been as fast as I've wanted it to be. Brewing, editing, both very time consuming, depending on the the brewing day. So I'm sure you're all anxious of how the cream ale came out. Fortunately, I do not have one to show you because it was freaking delicious, and that keg kicked pretty fast, faster than I really should have or even expected. I did take pictures, but somehow those pictures got lost off my phone, so you have no idea how it came out. That's a great follow-up, but most I can do is, I guess, tell you how it came out. It had, when I had kegged it, it had a kind of a banana flavor, because I kegged it, and while it was still warm, I poured me a little glass just to see how, any off flavors or how it was tasting before I chilled it. And it was still good, but it just had this really banana character to it. I don't know if it was the yeast. I can only assume because there's no banana in there. And I really didn't ferment at it wasn't warm out, so it didn't get hot back here, so I can only imagine it was yeast. It was the US-05. And I'm not, really up on what every yeast character is, so I can only assume it was the yeast. Because after it chilled, that banana flavor was gone, and it was so good. It had a lot of body, good flavor. It just made you want to drink more and more and more, and I did. So unfortunately, I'm not able to share with you more of a description than that. But hopefully in the upcoming videos that doesn't happen. Not making any promises. Who knows how these things, from the time I make it, the time I keg it, the time I drink it, the time I edit and post, it's all over the place. So we got another episode. We got another brew day. In this last episode, I said I didn't really know what we was gonna do. I ended up going to the local brew shop, and I decided on another all grain. It's called Sweet Georgia Brown, which that sounded really intriguing to me. I love brown ales. Those are actually my favorite. If you'd like to see how I make it, check out the video. It's coming up right now. Alright everybody, here we are again. This is a all-grain kit from Great Fermentations. This is a Sweet Georgia Brown. It's an American style brown ale with lactose in it, hence the sweet part of the Georgia Brown. Here's our sheet that comes with it. Shows our grains and hops and our mash temps and all pretty much the instructions, the basic instructions on how to brew it. So let's get started. Here I'm collecting my strike water from my refrigerator, my drinking water filter, and I could always use bottled water or jugs of water, but let's do it like this from time to time. I'm collecting 3 gallons, 5 cups, 6 ounces of strike water because it worked out well on the cream ale, and I decided to do that again. Here, preparing the strike water.
I'm trying to overcompensate the temperature here, because last time I had it was a little too cold, and when I mashed in, so I went 170 in the big pot. Hopefully I can dump that in and heat up the sidewalls, and then we get it down to around 160, and then when I mashed in, it would be all right. I got the strike water in the mash tun. Got my filter in there. Close it up, let it sit for a little while, and let it heat up. Last time I put the grain in little by little, the cup. This time I just dumped the whole bag in there all at once, and sort out the dough balls or whatever as I go. And it's really not a bad method. I not really have any problems here. I might have a dough ball or two, but I mean, it's not impossible to work out. So I'm just gonna incorporate the water and grain together, get a nice even mash going. Have all the, again, that wonderful heated grain smell. This is probably one of the best parts of all grain beer is the mash. And after we get it, to where I'm confident that there's no dough balls and everything's, the strike water is distributed in there. I'm gonna give her a temperature reading and see if we're where we need to be. Alright, here we got the thermometer in there. Now, I know it's hard to see, it's a crummy camera and no lighting in there, but we're just under 150, and the mash temps, suggested mash temps, are 151 to 153, and I'm just going around checking different parts of the mash, and there's different pockets of heat in different parts, but none of them are over 150, so I'm just not comfortable with that mash, so I'm going to try to rectify the situation. Here I took a couple more gallons of water, heated it up to 170 to try to goose that mash temp and hopefully get it to where I need it to be. Incorporated the heated water into the mash tun, mix it around, get it evenly distributed so that it's all where I need it to be, around 151, 153. And when I was satisfied with that, I went ahead and close it down and leave it for the 60-minute saccharification rest. After the 60-minute sac rest, here we have our hopefully converted wort, and we're going to run off a couple gallons of the wort to do the boil off, help settle that grain bed, get all the stray husks and anything that's floating around in there, trying to settle that bed down, help filter everything through, and so we can have our clear wort. We'll make for a clear beer, a better tasting beer. It's not as harsh, and I'm trying my best not to disturb the grain bed by pouring it down the walls. Whether that really helping right now, it's not clear, but can't hurt. So after the grain bed was settled and it started to run clear, go ahead and take the first runnings, measuring out by gallons, so that way I know my volume, and I'm just going to run out what liquid I can get out of the mash tun from the mash that I had done, and then I'm going to add strike water. I'm doing batch sparge on this one. So here is the grain bed after I had ran out all the liquid, the wort, to my brew kettle. It's hard to see. It's looking good. And now heated my sparge water to 170. I've added it back to the grain bed, and I'm going to mix that around so it will kind of wash all the sugars off the grains that are still in there. And I'm gonna, mix it around, let it settle a little bit, do another Vorloff on it, and then run the rest out, and that will be my my volume for the brew. Now remember, when I heated extra water to get my mash temps up, you're gonna have to take out that many gallons. I think it was 2 gallons of your sparge, so you don't end up over diluting the wort. So I think the sparges will be 5 gallons, 6 ounces. So if I took out, or if I added 2 extra gallons to the mash to help bring up that temp, you're gonna have to take it out in the sparge. So I'm preparing the wort for the boil. I had to move it into the garage. It started to rain, so not quite a boil yet. Try to do little adjustments to the flame to get it to where I want it. And you really don't have to power the propane. I mean, you're just gonna end up wasting more propane by just hammering down on it. Keep it at a moderate flame, and still get your boil. Here are the additions into this beer. You have lactose, a cup of brown sugar, and 0.75 ounces of gallon of hops, however you want to say it. And now I got my boil going. 60-minute hop addition, the only hop addition. Drop her in. I think it's the last 10 minutes of the boil. You're gonna add the lactose and the brown sugar. But just let her go for 50 minutes and come back and add your lactose. Here we are 50 minutes later. It's time for our 10-minute addition. Here's 1 cup, a little under a cup, that's all I have, of brown sugar. And as my lens gets fogged up, I'm going to add ½ pound of lactose to sweeten the sweet Georgia brown. Get all that good mixed up in there. And after the 10 minutes is up, we're going to cool her down. 10 minutes later, here we are, wort chiller. Running off some hot water in a bucket. I take it out and dump it somewhere else so I don't make a bigger mess than it already is there. My garden hose has a leak in the end of it, that's why I have the rag there. But yeah, you want to get it chilled within about 30 minutes, they say, and that's about usually on a 5-gallon batch with this wart chiller. That's how long it takes. And I got it cooled to yeast pitching temps. Siphoning it into my fast ferment there. I have a packet of Nottingham that I have rehydrated using the same method I did before. Boil some water, let it cool, add the yeast, let it hydrate. And I don't think I showed that part in this video, but that's pretty much it. I fill her up and add my yeast, and there you go. Just let her sit after that. You're done. Alright, the next day I hear something hissing in the back room where I have my sweet Georgia Brown fermenting, and it was an explosion of yeast. So I had to put a blow-off tube on there. As you can see, I just used the airlock, and I think it's a 1/2-inch tube. I put it down into the airlock, and it fit perfect. And just let her go like that. I put some sanitizer in a gallon jug there. Access the new airlock, and if it blows out any yeast, more yeast or beer or anything with it, it'll all collect in there, and it still won't let bacteria or wild yeast get into my beer. But that was a shock. I didn't get a chance to take the gravity reading on it, but it doesn't seem like it was a big beer to have such a vigorous fermentation. So I wasn't expecting this at all, but there's nothing wrong with it. We can handle it. Got the cream ale fermenting in the background, and no harm, no foul. We got it.
Alright, that was it. Another 6-hour brew day, but looks to be well worth it. And last episode I didn't know what I was going to do in the upcoming episode. This episode I do know. I'm going to try to get something in the keg fast. And the cream ale went fast. I'm assuming the Georgia Brown, it's not going to last long. So I want something fast. I read that milds are fast beers to, ferment and get into keg or bottle like keg, so it's going to be faster. So I'm going to do what's called a magical mild in the next episode. And that one's going to actually be an extract because I want to make it fast. Let's see how fast we can get through it and get it on tap, get it on glass. So that's it for this episode. I'm glad you came back. You watched, hopefully you watch all of the episodes that I'm going to have, and they're not just going to be brewing. I'm going to have other content on here. Mix it up, but this is going to be Best Brew Ever is my my brewing series. So if you're interested in more brewing and beer related content, this is the thing for you. Subscribe, like, and see you next time.